Yeah, because when is a white guy from Notre Dame ever going to get ahead in life? I tell you.
It's tough.
I tell you.
It's tough.
Gosh.
Big dogs are in the house!
Hey! The 84 jerseys out, man. I think this is going to be a fun ride.
Bye, Felicia.
Inside the lane, drive, left, fronted by Hart! Oh my goodness! Where did he come from? A behind the back jam by the big team! This is not Detroit, man! This is the Super Bowl!
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Practice like this. Up. We up.
Straight cash, homie.
And boom goes the dynamite.
Clarksville bullshit, so.
Home run. Welcome back, Lou Collins.
Welcome back to Thunderdome for yet another, hey, Adrian thinks he got a new deal, even though it's basically the same as his last deal, edition of And You Must Die, Minnesota Sports Talk. Kinda. I'm your not-so-humble co-host at Andy Carlson Show on the Twitter Machine, riding shotgun, my partner in crime. A woman who pulls more pork than... Okay, I'm not going to do that one. A woman who thinks Lo Mein is the part of the state that attaches to New Hampshire, at Dan Murphy, MN. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
The pulled pork one, because you just mentioned that you made some awesome pulled pork sandwiches.
I did.
Right before.
I did, and I made it in my pressure cooker, and it was so good.
And, yeah, I had a joke written down, but I pass.
Better not, yeah.
We're on Twitter at Andy Must Die. The website is andymustdie.com. Today, we're talking about a lot of Viking stuff. We're leading up training camp. Adrian got himself a new deal. Harrison will not be getting himself one. And, yeah, just a bunch of other good stuff. Oh, and Twitter poll. What do you think the Vikings' record will be this season? Getting a lot of 16-0s, but who knows?
Really?
Nah, just kidding. A lot of 10-6s.
That's such a... I don't know. That seems like a cop-out.
Yeah, but we'll get to that at the end. But first off, hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Now, what is new besides the pulled pork?
Well, I tried making the brownie waffles and then make them into an ice cream sandwich. Mm-hmm. But the recipe that I found just called for you to use a regular brownie mix, make it like you normally would, and then put it in the waffle maker, and poof, they're supposed to come out beautifully. No, they did not. They were kind of a hot mess and a disaster. So now I've got to find a different recipe, which I'll probably end up making my own brownie batter instead of buying a box. I should have probably done that to begin with, but I was trying to save some time. But no, it sucked. I'll tell you what, I will post some pictures of what my brownie waffles ended up looking like. My family's still going to eat them. We still have vanilla ice cream and hot fudge, so they will eat them.
Yeah, because I mean, you're not elite. You're not the 1%ers. I mean, you're just down here with the rest of us. You're going to eat that.
It involves chocolate in my family, and so unless it's covered with mold, they will eat it.
What if it's cheese though? Because then mold helps cheese.
Maybe cream cheese.
All right, fine. Well, this has been food talk yet again. It always devolves into that.
But I make such good food. Did you see that hamburger that I made with the roasted poblanos and the pickled onions on it?
What was on it?
It was just a hamburger patty with pepper jack cheese, roasted poblano peppers, and the pickled onions.
Did you pickle your own onions?
I did.
That's nice. I like pickling stuff. You can pickle anything if you try hard
enough. It's so easy though. It's so simple.
What's your pickling recipe? This on Andy Must Die, Minnesota culinary talk, kinda.
I found it on Pinterest, so I'd have to go look it up. But it's basically sugar,
yeah,
vinegar,
yeah.
I don't know. It was only 3 ingredients.
Yeah,
and the onions. I think that might have even been it.
Now I've been on a bit of an Asian food kick. getting back to the roots, because got the beautiful walk, tried and true, the one I've had for 13 years.
Wow.
Something like that. Yeah, I got it when I was 16.
Is it a cast iron?
No, it's the like anodized steel. It's all nice and seasoned on the inside, so it's like black, like my heart. And just cranked out some beautiful sweet and sour chicken this evening because that's the wife's favorite. But I did make some General Tso's chicken while recording a Purple for the Win podcast, and it was delightful.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So you can multitask.
Yeah, well, kind of, because I had Nick on the horn, and he was asking me questions. So I wasn't, like, creating content. I was just more, like, reacting and answering his questions.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's kind of like watching the game on Sundays with the wife. Because I'll give her a lot of credit, because she is one of those significant others who is really trying to learn the game and the nuances, the ins and outs. Doesn't ask too many questions, but when she does ask questions, they're good questions. You know what I mean? They're not like, oh, why are we wearing purple? We were wearing white last week. What's going on? It's not like those type of questions, no?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. She's slowly but surely learning. And the daughter, she's going to be a huge Vikings fan. Shameless plug, little Dad Mode podcast going out this morning was kids and sports fandom, a.k.a. how Muggsy's never going to be a Packers or Badgers fan, basically.
Well, I mean, I forbid my children from being those fans of those teams, but my kids aren't really into sports. So, but they do know, like, who we cheer for and why and who the bad guys are. So, yeah.
We cheer for the Minnesota United, not the stupid Portland Timbers.
Okay.
Crikey. Yeah. But the reason for the Asian food kick was we binge watched an entire season of the show Fresh Off the Boat.
Okay.
And it is hilarious. It's a ABC sitcom surrounding this Asian American family, and it just touched me with my roots. It's good.
So then you decided to make a bunch of American version of
Americanized, yes. And
okay.
It's set in 1995, so there's so many awesome Asian references and 90s references. It's perfect. Because we all know 90s is the best decade.
It was pretty awesome. I will give you that.
Even though we were both just kids during that decade,
Right. Barely born, like 5, maybe. Something like that.
All right. Speaking of the best decade, Adrian's going to have the best 30% of a decade coming up. That didn't make any sense. Oh, well. Adrian, quote, unquote, got a new deal. $44 million over 3 years is the headline. But it's basically the same as his existing deal. This year, instead of the $12.75 million, he would be guaranteed week 1. He gets $11 million guaranteed and a $2 million roster bonus on July 28th. 2016, he gets $7.75 million as a base with $7 million guaranteed for injury only, and a $5 million roster bonus on the third day of the league year for a $12.75 million cap number. In 2017, 11.75 base, $6 million roster bonus, blah, blah, blah. He's never seeing $17.5 million in 2017, so let's get out of there. So, right. Basically the contract is exactly the same. He has no real guaranteed money, save for that $7 million for guaranteed for injury. So basically, if Adrian completely falls apart this year, can never play football again because of injury, then he gets that $7 million. But he's probably not going to get it. So the Vikings can cut him, trade him next offseason with zero cap damage, as long as it's before the third day of the new league year. Not a lot has changed.
You just put me to sleep with all that. For a minute there, I thought you were a reef.
I know, because I'm not usually a numbers guy, but
it's like, it's a whole lot of numbers.
When I really dug into it, basically the only thing the Vikings did is they did the window dressing for his salary guaranteed this year, which is going to be week 1, which he's going to be on the team. So that's a moot point. And they basically just gave up that injury guarantee, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically the bottom line.
But Dogra and Adrian think that they won.
You know.
I like Adrian's amen tweet. Amen.
Oh, geez, that was so stupid. I see. Well, yeah, and I put this out on Twitter because it's just gotten to the point where everybody knows how I feel about him. Mm-hmm. I didn't want him back. I was very open about that. But the reality is he's on this team. He will make this team better. And so basically I'm happy for Teddy because Teddy has a very powerful weapon now, and that's only going to make him better. So when I look at it like that, and I can say it's a done deal, he's on the team whether I like it or not. Because I mean, obviously Spielman didn't call me up and ask me what I thought.
He did.
And Zimmer, I think he really wanted him. I mean, why wouldn't you? He's an amazing running back. But like I said, he's on the team now, so I've just accepted it and I've moved on.
Now, when the news first broke, what was it? It doesn't matter what day, Monday or Tuesday. When it first broke, I was just like, oh, come on. I mean, first we're basically rewarding what he did. And Suhan actually wrote a really good article about it today, about how this kind of rewarding only happens in the NFL. And when the news first broke, I was imagining him ahead as like, you know, we're going to guarantee a salary this year, and then we're going to give him 20 million guaranteed the next 2 seasons, and this is going to be stupid because we're tying the noose around her neck. The Harrison extension, which we'll get to, will be kind of tough to do next year or 2017, and now we're gone. But when the numbers came out, I had to look at it twice because I'm like, okay, you didn't really gain much.
Nope.
I mean, besides what we listed and the fact that the Vikings have to make up their mind before the third day of the league year, which I actually think is good for the team because they have to make a piss or get off the pot sort of decision before they have to pay him that roster bonus in the subsequent seasons. I mean, I know the Dog is going to go out and celebrate and pop bottles because he's going to get the commission on this restructure, but nothing really happened. I mean, is this just another Rick just pulling the strings and letting Adrian and Dogra think that they got a hell of a deal when they basically got the same?
I mean, it's kind of like the shell game or something. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like he's so good at this. I mean, we can bash him for pondering all we want, but I mean, he's made some really, really very smart football decisions. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seems like Adrian thinks he's won. I guess I haven't seen anything I don't follow Dogra or whatever. I don't know if he's put anything out there, proclaiming there.
You don't follow Dogra on Twitter?
I do not.
Actually, I don't even think he's on Twitter.
Oh, I think that one picture of him though with the Adrian Peterson jersey on, and I mean that was pretty funny though, I will say. But yeah, he seems like a despicable human being.
Adrian or Dogra?
Both. I'm just kidding. One's worse than the other. Well, I'll let you figure that out.
I think this is fantastic in that Adrian and his camp has zero to complain anymore because he got the new deal he was finally seeking. And amen, we're closed. So even if he has a great year this year and the Vikings decide to bring him back next season, there won't be any of this off-season limbo drama, Dogra trying to get him traded to Tampa, Adrian going on a Twitter rant to be like, is the contract two-sided or one-sided? Blah, blah, blah. Right. So I am happy that is finally done, and I'm even more ecstatic that Spielman basically gave him the same contract.
But they somehow can't figure that out. Well, and how good can Dogra be if he couldn't figure this out?
Well,
I mean, I can understand Adrian not understanding.
Well, there are escalators in the contract, but that's that put me to sleep in the whole X number of yards, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. Whatever happened to days of the contract, be like, hey, 5 years, $15 million. That's a contract. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, well, because lawyers get involved and then they screw everything up.
Well, I actually think it's more like the GMs and the owners being slick because.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because you pad all that fluff money on top of the deal, and then players never look at the guaranteed money. So it's like, hey, here's $150 million guaranteed. Or excuse me, here's $150 million contract, $4 million guaranteed.
Right.
No big deal. No big deal.
So if you tore your tear your ACL and you're done. It's like, nope, sorry, here's your $4 million. Bye-bye.
All right, now moving on to a Viking that you favor a little bit more. Reports that Harrison Smith won't be receiving an extension until after the 2015 season. Vikings picked up the 5th-year option of the man from Notre Dame and have him under contract through 2016. Now, I can kind of see both sides of this argument. I'm a very solid fence sitter, but Di, what do you think first?
Well, I think it's kind of BS. He's proven that he can stay healthy. He played all 16 games, I think, the last 2 seasons. I think the season before was when was it? No, I think was it last year that he was hurt? No, it wasn't last year.
To the Google, I actually think he's missed time both the last 2 seasons, but keep going. I'll look it up.
Okay. Anyway, obviously he's healthier than Kyle Rudolph, who they gave a huge paycheck to. To me, I think it's just kind of disrespectful. I know it's a business, but you've got a guy that busts his rear end for you out on the field every game, very successful, very good at his position, and you're going to go, we'll talk about it next year. I think that's complete crap.
All right, so I looked up. He did play all 16 games last year. The year before that, he played in 8 games.
So it must have been the year before that then that he played. Because I think 2 out of the last 3 seasons, he's played all 16 games.
Yeah.
So it was my fault that he missed those 8 games, though, because I bought his
jersey. It was. It's the jersey curse. Why can't you buy a Dogra jersey?
If they made them, I would.
Well, I see Rick's point of view here, because Harrison's a different beast than Rudolph or Fusco, which Spielman has a track record of paying his guys a year before they hit the open market as a nice token of loyalty as far as that goes in the NFL, as well as to get them for a cheaper price before they hit the open market. I understand that, but Harrison's different because of that 5th-year option, and he's under contract for 2 seasons, and we love Harrison. He's fantastic. The national media doesn't really recognize him as being up there quite yet, even though they love Blanton, but we'll get to that in a second.
Well, they ranked Harrison Smith 3rd.
Yeah,
that was ahead of Blanton.
He's still not a Pro Bowler, still not an All-Pro. We think he should be. Harrison, yeah.
Well, the Pro Bowl is complete BS anyway.
Yeah, but I want him to have a extremely solid season this year, prove that he's a top 5 safety in the league, pad those stats and stay healthy, and then give him that big extension. Because we don't really know if Harrison is holding out for the Earl Thomas, Jairus Byrd, Eric Berry, $9 million plus a year money. If Spielman's floating out there, hey, Harrison, we'll give you 7 a year. And then Harrison's like, nah, bro. Nah, we're good. I'm going to gamble Flacco style and see if I can get up to 9 or 10. Yeah, then I could see why both sides wouldn't really budge, because if you're Spielman, you have a guy under contract at a very cheap rate for 2 more years. And he hasn't proven that he's elite, even though he has all the makings of it, and you expect him to. Hasn't done it yet. Did have injury problems 2 years ago. And you want him to prove it before you really break the bank.
I can see that. To me, I guess I probably rank him higher than you do currently, because I think he's top 5 safety in the league right now.
I should have framed that as like top 2 or 3, because that's probably the type of money he's looking for. And if I'm Harrison, and I think that I'm going to be up there with the Earl Thomases, and Jairus Byrd got really overpaid. So if I think I'm as good as Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor, those types, I'm going to hold out and try and get my $9 or $10 million per year next offseason. I'm not going to sell for 7.
Right. And I guess that's something that I hadn't really thought about, like what his side of it is. Mm-hmm. So, that could very well be. I was ranting about it a little bit on Twitter, and Luke Inman, you've had him on.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So, but he said he thinks, like last year when I was at training camp, Rudolph actually signed his contract. They gave him his contract during training camp. And so Luke had said that he kind of felt like this is something that will probably happen with Smith. That this could just be like, BS back and forth. And then when they get to training camp, they give him his contract. And then, of course, Mike Zimmer can make fun of him like he did Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah, and like I said, it could be a negotiating ploy on Spielman's part because it is like Rick hasn't like come out and said in like a press conference. It's just been floated out there from sources. So maybe that's Rick trying to turn the screws on Harrison and his agent a little bit. Be like, well, all right, don't want the 7.5 per year. I guess it's going away until next March.
And that would be a very Spielman thing to do.
Because it's shrewd and it makes sense, and he's looking out for the overall health of the team. Because I would love to ink Harrison up to a 5-year extension. It's $7 a year. I mean, that'd be a hell of a bargain.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I want him to get paid. I want him to get paid well. So, and I, it's not like I'm worried that they're going to let him walk because I think they recognize that he's a huge part of their defense. So I think they'll pay him. But you're right. I think both sides are probably feeling each other out right now.
Yeah, because when is a white guy from Notre Dame ever going to get ahead in life? I tell you.
It's tough.
I tell you.
It's tough.
Gosh, almighty. All working in like hedge funds in Chicago. We mentioned Blanton earlier, and we know my displeasure with the safety cross from Harrison. And Matt Miller, Bleacher Report, is a big draft guy. I really respect his draft coverage. But, yeah, he ranked Blanton as the number 7 safety in the NFL. And I think it's a lot of stat box, stat sheet scouting, as it were. And a couple of guys from NFL Network have also ranked Blanton pretty high. But, we've watched the games. Yes, he does have nice stats. He's usually the second leading tackler in every box score. But there's a reason he's getting all these tackles. Because his guy is wide open, and then, he plops down right in front of him. That's not really great safety play. You know what I mean?
Not exactly. I was actually shocked when I saw that. I was like, what? No, come on. Really? I'm like, how bad are these other guys if he ranks that high?
And also, to thicken the plot, like you're adding some cornstarch, Blanton followed me on Twitter, just out of the blue.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've never tweeted at him. Actually, I have a thing about not tweeting at players ever, or following them for that matter. But he followed me, and I was thinking, man, how did he? All right, so he must have searched his name on Twitter, saw that I was talking junk about him, and he's just waiting. He's just waiting for me to follow him, and then he can shoot me a DM like, WTF. Hell, man.
Did you follow him?
I did. I kind of, only because I want him to shoot some junk at me, and then I can screenshot it and put up.
Yeah, for sure. You have to do that.
Because that would be like the most thin-skinned thing ever. Even though I know athletes do it all the time. Yes, they're human and blah, blah, blah. But if you have a high-profile gig, you got to be able to take some idiot just talking junk about you on social media, right?
Absolutely. And the same is true for the radio personalities and the beat writers in town. And, you have to. I mean, I'm sorry, but you're high profile. And like one of the most butthurt things that ever happened was with Dan Barrero. One of his interns or somebody had posted a picture of him at a Timberwolves game, and he's like yawning, right? And so I, being a smartass, because that's who I am, tweeted at him and basically said, if you're bored, maybe you should give up your seat in media row to someone who maybe wouldn't be bored, like me. And so then he seriously, not only did he block me on Twitter, but he talked about it for 2 days on his radio show. 2 days.
It's a lot of airtime.
You're so thin-skinned that was worth talking about.
It was also during the Wolves season, so there was a lot of time to fill.
Well, they just could have talked more about how they were tanking.
Now, was this last season or 2 seasons ago?
It wasn't this past season, it was the season before. But yeah, it was like, come on, really? It was just ridiculous.
Now, have any other high profile or like local media people slid into your DMs or said something nasty to you? Or thin skinned, as it were?
really. Matt Wenzel and I had a tenuous relationship for a while because he had responded to some people on Twitter I thought kind of rudely, and so I called him out on it, and so then he blocked me. And then I don't know, he came around, he unblocked me, which was a huge step. That was like a really huge step. And he's like, yeah, you know, I'm unblocking some people. I think he's kind of relaxed a little bit, and you can kind of tell in his interactions now.
And now you're friends.
Well, I'm like, okay, so you unblocked me. At this point, I think now you should follow me. And he did, and I literally gave him like 3 days, and it's been like a couple months. So
I'm gonna get him to unfollow you.
Shut up.
I should have said something to him when he was on Purple for the Win. Be like, Di's been talking a lot of junk about you.
No, I have
She
not.
says you're a eunuch.
Oh, nice. Nah, he's cool. My man and I are cool now, so yeah, we're good. Don't screw that up.
Fine. Let's see. Oh, thin skin. But all right. So I like Matt Miller's work, especially the draft stuff. He's fantastic with that. He's a guy who does his homework, and there's a reason that he has built up his own personal brand, starting from nothing. I think he was like a marketing guy, just doing mock drafts like everyone else in the mother. But the guy does the work, puts in the hours, does a phenomenal job. But he is like the most thin-skinned social media weenie I can honestly think off the top of my head. Like, there are so many just random Twitter spats that he gets in, or like condescending comments he'll make at people who tweet at his mentions. And it's like, his most common one is like, well, I get paid to do this, so blah, 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 blah. And that always bugs me. I mean, I know that fan bloggers and fanboys and nerds and stuff, like everyone's dream is to do mock drafts for a living, but I mean, that's just kind of pompous and very thin-skinned and extremely small-looking. And I know he's like the big wig at Bleacher Report, but you know, you're trying to get to ESPN, you're trying to get to NFL Network, you're trying to get to Fox Sports 1 if that's still around. You know, you don't see those guys going after people on Twitter. Like, you don't see Ron Jaworski or Michael Fabiano or just going after their Twitter followers, you know?
Right. And that's, like you said, if you want to be paid, you know, if you want to go to the big leagues, you got to let that stuff roll off your back. You can engage in that. Which is why I keep this my hobby, because I like being able to tell people off and whatever. So
now, say this was a living. Say Fox Sports North approached you. It was like, hey, let's do a half-hour Die television show every Sunday. Only stipulation is you can't go after Twitter trolls. Would you do it?
Probably. Because it doesn't interfere with my regular job. Like, my career, what I do for a living is something that I love, and I would never give that up.
But you would never be able to look at your mentions. Because having you on a TV show, you would get lit up.
Why?
Or some people would say something just slightly bad about, like, I can't believe you wore that hat 2 weeks in a row. And you can't respond to that.
That wouldn't bother me. People say shit to me all the time on Twitter that I'm like, whatever, you're entitled to your opinion. That's
What's
fine.
been the best recent one?
Oh God, I don't know. I've been pretty good. I've been trying to be a kinder, gentler Die on Twitter, so I haven't really been lit up.
Are you calming down in your 30s?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing, calming down in my 30s. No, I think the last really big, like, beat down that I took was when the podcast with Jeff Dubay blew up, when that whole thing happened, which has been a while now. I mean, there were people who just, his fanboys coming after me left and right. So that was probably the last. I mean, I blocked a whole bunch of people then. That was probably the last big thing that I had to endure.
What was the best line?
I don't even remember.
Oh, come
Honestly,
on.
don't. No, I really don't. It was just, see, sadly what happens when something like this goes down is, first of all, I'm a woman. Mm-hmm. And so for some of these idiots. I can't possibly know anything about sports because I'm a woman. And then it was, well, he's Jeff Dubay and you're nobody. So we're taking his side. I mean, so that's kind of the hierarchy of how things go. First, you're a woman and you don't know anything. And then it's, well, you're a nobody. So, yeah.
Except you can always fall back on, like, hey, that's sexist. Because that is so taboo nowadays. There cannot be a shred of sexism. We must all be equal, and we must all use the same bathrooms.
Oh, no, I don't want to share a bathroom with you.
I kind of like that last part. Die, we're equal.
No.
We're equal now.
Nope. Mm-mm.
Fine. But it is kind of nice that you could have that built-in card. Like, I could always play the race card. Like, be like, well, Blanton is blah, 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 blah. And then someone says, no, Blanton's really good. I'd be like, that's racist. How dare you disagree with me? You obviously have some built-in racial hatred for Team Yellow.
And so then I can just say, obviously you hate women.
Yes.
Got it.
All right, so you can be like, Joe Mauer is batting 800 this month. And then someone can be like, no, he's not. Be like, stop being sexist. It's awesome.
I don't like to play that card. I really don't.
You could play the short person card.
That card I like to play.
Little People, Big World.
Yep.
Now, I could go on a complete tirade about midgets now, but
let's not. No.
Oh, sorry, Little People. Little People. Someone who's not so little is Troy Tulowiski, the Rockies shortstop, currently on a 10-year, $157.75 million deal he signed in 2010. Name recently brought up, possibly a trade candidate for the Twins as the trade deadline approaches? Question mark? Die?
Yeah. I don't think it's all that awesome.
Like, I know he's good.
Well, he's good. But
I've never seen him play. But
I haven't either. And the problem is it makes me nervous when they want to give away our young, good prospects because they're grasping at straws right now.
Yeah.
Because you don't mortgage the future on a guy that probably may or may not actually really make a significant impact.
Plus, that is a big contract.
It's a huge contract.
And we're just chilling here with Mauer still for a couple more years. Irvin Santana still just chilling there as well. And I'm with you about mortgaging the whole future thing, but on the other hand, this is the first time that the Twins have been relevant after the All-Star game since 2010, maybe.
Right, and I understand that people are excited. Twins fans are grasping at anything here. But, I mean, even if they get a wild card spot, they're not going anywhere. I mean, they're on the cusp of being good. So don't throw away what it's going to happen in the next couple of years just to try to make a wild card here, like this season. Just don't.
Hashtag believe. Die.
Hashtag no.
Hashtag vote Dozier.
That didn't even that well. Yeah, we talked about that. It kind of did help him get in because it kept him in second place. So when somebody got hurt, then he was in. So yeah, and he did well.
Something that we hope he does well in. LeBron James and Warner Brothers announced a partnership to do a couple movies, and the possibility of updating Space Jam, doing a sequel, is very much real. Even though I really hate when they do sequels that is going to ruin the first one, like Dumb and Dumber 2. Everyone knew that one was going to suck. Let's see here. Boondock Saints 2. Come on. And in fact, The Hangover 2. Because I thought The Hangover, the first one, was a great movie. The second one sucked.
Oh, right. The first one was like, oh my God, I'm dying. And the second one was, really? And then I didn't even bother to see the third one. Because I was like, they screwed the second one up so bad, I'm not even going to watch the third one.
Yeah, and Space Jam was such a great movie about my childhood. It's perfect. I mean, you have Michael Jordan right after his comeback. So basically still in his prime right before he's about to win 3 more rings. No big deal. Sorry, Houston Rockets, but your rings, asterisk. It happens. So you got Jordan, you got Bugs Bunny, you had all the Looney Tunes gang, you have Bill effing Murray in the movie, and you have a slew of NBA stars, NBA stars and Sean Bradley. And, I mean, come on. Come on. How can you improve on that?
You can't. But, there's money to be made. And I loved Space Jam. My children and I have watched it many times. My kids love it, especially Mini-Me. I'd probably go see it as long as Kevin Hart's not in it.
Kevin Hart's going to be in it.
There's an asterisk. No Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart is going to play the Bill Murray role.
No.
You know this.
No.
Yeah.
Let Bill Murray play the Bill Murray part.
He's too old.
But he's Bill Murray.
So old.
But he's Bill Murray.
I do like how Bill Murray is like this urban legend now, where he just shows up in random people's stories.
Right.
Guy's awesome. He's like the only good thing about Chicago.
They have really good deep dish pizza, though.
They do. And have you been to Giordano's yet?
I have not, because I'm sorry. I will not wait 3 hours for food anywhere. I don't care how good it is. I will wait till the hype dies down, and then I'll go.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard some people say that it's a cure for cancer. The other people will be like, it's just a deep dish pizza chain.
Well, it's bound to be better than most of what you can get around here. As far as deep dish pizzas. There's great pizza places here. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a huge fan of Pizza Luce.
But
what? No. There's better pizza here.
Shut your mouth.
Nope. Pizzeria Lola.
Okay.
Red Wagon Pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those kill Pizza Luce.
I guess because I've never really gotten into like the local Twin Cities places, like the mom and pop shops, which I'm sure have fantastic pizza. But I've been basically a like local chain guy, like the Pizza Luce, always phenomenal. Carbones, which by the way is like a block away from our house now, so that's awesome. And then what else? Actually, I think Devani's is pretty good, even though it gets a pretty bad rap.
Devani's is not bad. I like their deep dish pizza. But Giordano's is supposed to be like 10 times better than Devani's.
We'll see. Yep. So we veered off from pizza. Back to Space Jam. All right. So LeBron was in the movie Trainwreck, starring Amy Schumer and Bill Hader, and it's supposed to be an awesome movie, directed by Judd Apatow. And LeBron, I haven't seen the movie, but from the reviews, he did a pretty good job as an actor in it. Now, he's hosted SNL before. He's hosted the ESPYs. He's been okay in both. But I don't know.
He plays himself in the movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't seen it yet, so.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge Amy Schumer fan, but I love Judd Apatow, so anything he does, I pretty much see. It's
supposed to be pretty damn good, and plus there's tons of cameos in it. But leading man charisma, I know that Jordan wasn't like over the top great, and I think they really did him well. They complimented him well by having the fat guy from Seinfeld, Newman, him as his assistant.
Oh, yeah.
In there. Yeah. Then you had the Bill Murray, you had of course, all the Looney Tunes characters. I think they complimented him really well because I don't think Jordan was that great of an actor, but they hit him well. It was very well done. But with LeBron, I feel like LeBron's ego won't let that happen, where he'll like have to be out in front and he'll have like 3 different monologues where he goes on for like a minute 30 a piece, where it's just like, I don't know. Plus, I don't even know if kids like LeBron.
I think so. I'm just basing this on the kids that I teach, but the biographies I have of him are always checked out. The boys that I talk to usually, think he's pretty great. I have to calm them down when they try to say he's better than Michael Jordan.
Well, whatever. What other biographies do you have? Do you have the Matt Barnes biography?
No, please no.
You got Tiago Splitter? No. That one's never checked out.
Well, I have team biographies or your team books, which are in the 700s, and then I have the some of the bigger players, and of course WWE wrestlers, even though I think it's completely stupid. My job is to let them read what they want, like to give them what they want to read. And they're always checked out. I mean, I have multiple copies of like John Cena, and they're always checked out.
Well, do you tell them what they want? What they really, really want?
Nope, I don't.
I think that I'm the only male under the age of 40 who never got into wrestling.
Well, here's an interesting thing. I actually was into wrestling back when it was like the AWA.
Yeah.
You know, like even like really early on with like, you know.
Was that when they had the red, white, and blue ball and Dr. J with the huge afro?
No.
Oh, that was the ABA. Okay.
Right. I'm just talking like back in the day, you know, when it was. There weren't all gimmicks and all, you know, show and all drama and the half-naked women and whatever. Yeah, so I was a fan way back when, but not anymore. I mean, no.
Back when the wrestlers' names were like Hulk Hogan and Mike the Bartender.
Like Vern Gagne, and I mean, just like
Avery the Lumberjack.
way back in the day. Great Gagne. I'm going to get some cred here. I actually, yeah. The Baron, Von Raschke, yeah.
I'm just going to make up some more wrestling names. Abraham the Destroyer. Mike the Carpentry Nail. Lawrence the Cleaning Man.
Yeah, that's a hot one. Very popular.
See what else. The GFCI Outlet. Nah, that one doesn't work. Anyways.
I can't even laugh at that one. That was so bad.
Mike the Hot Mopper. He's the one you call before you're putting down some shingles.
Oh, Lord. This is spiraling out of control very quickly.
Dave the Radiant Barrier. I'm just putting name with construction things now. All right, so anyways. Library. At my library, when I was in elementary school, there was books of every single NFL team. And the Vikings one was always checked out. So it was like my white whale, and I was Captain Guy hunting the white whale.
Ahab.
Whatever. Whatever, book nerd. And I'm just kidding, I knew the name. And I finally got it. And I read it cover to cover. And it was delicious. And then it was never seen again because it was always checked out.
Well, the nice thing is now with the current technology that we have, children are able to put books on hold.
Or their stupid iPads minis.
No, they do it at school. I have an automated circulation system. So they can go in, log in, and put a request in for, like, Minecraft, for instance. I had, like, 8 million Minecraft books, and they are literally never checked in, ever. So when one gets returned, it gets checked in, and then a little message pops up and says, hold for, you know, Jaden with a Y, Smith, because I know that's your favorite. And then I put it on the hold shelf, and when Jaden with a Y comes in next, I check it out to him.
Why would you do that for him, though?
Because that's my job. I can't help it his parents named him poorly. That's not the kid's fault.
The kid's got an asthma inhaler, even though he doesn't have asthma. The mom just thinks it's a good idea.
Nice. Carries an EpiPen, too, just in case.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, you know it didn't exist, you know, back in World War II? Peanut allergies. And they did pretty okay for themselves.
They did, yeah.
My throat's a little scratchy. Doesn't matter. I'm going to take this beach. I come back and drink a whole bunch of black coffee and eat some Spam.
Yuck.
That's when men were men.
Yuck. No, Spam is gross.
Fine. Speaking of Spam, you can do it up for breakfast. It's delicious. And the whole Oregon diner, quote, controversy, end quote, that whole thing. It's an interesting dynamic and like meeting of modern sensibilities and social media and old schooledness. And Di, what are your thoughts? Di, could you give a little background on it?
I would say you give some background on it, but okay, so there was a diner owner who was, you know, a very small diner, you know, really busy. Obviously, a family is there with their small, I think, 2-year-old, which is just a horrible age anyway. And they order like 3 full-size pancakes for the kid, even though the owner tried telling the family, like, these are huge. And it'll take me a while to make them. And they're like, whatever, I just want them. So apparently this kid is just screaming for 10 minutes straight. And the parents are like, whatever, I'm on my phone, completely ignoring the kid, not making, trying to do anything to calm the child or take them outside to calm them down or whatever. And so the diner owner finally just and she was hinting does table so-and-so have their check? She tried giving them, once the pancakes were done, she tried giving them to-go boxes, hoping they would get the hint to leave. And when that didn't work, she finally just screamed at this 2-year-old. And then the kid shut up.
Now, I've heard conflicting reports. Some say it was 10 minutes. Some say it was 40 minutes. What should you see?
Well, it could have been, altogether. Maybe it was the longest jag was 10 minutes. Maybe it was, screaming, then a little quiet, then screaming again. And then, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I could understand that. Even 10 minutes of a kid screaming for 10 minutes is so grating. It could feel like an hour. And
see, it was a full diner. It was their busiest Monday, I believe it was, they've had in years. And you're the owner of the diner, and your customers on this fantastic day where you're bringing a ton of money, but you're super busy in the weeds and stressed, are being bellowed by this young child who, kids act up in public, that's fine. But the parents seemingly weren't doing anything about it, or if they were, their methods were ineffective if this is going on off and on for 40 minutes. And the whole, I heard an interview with the mother, and she used the term, my child, which is always code for you're a bad parent, and I hate you already. But she very much made it sound like she was a victim, and how dare this lady talk to her child like that. And apparently went to Facebook, and then she put it on there, and then the diner later responded with some 4-letter words,
yes.
Which I'm very familiar with. And that probably wasn't the best tactic, but in my mind, that diner owner is 90% a hot damn American hero, because she did the right thing. Probably shouldn't have taken the tone or cussed on Facebook, because nothing good comes from cursing on social media. But thank God for her standing up and finally laying down the law when the parents clearly would not.
So here's the thing.
Hallelujah. Amen.
Right. I'm not disagreeing. There's 50 or whatever, 40 other people in that restaurant that have a right to eat their food in peace and not have this kid screaming his bloody head off, or her. Mm-hmm. I'm not even sure if it was a boy or a girl. And I can remember when my son was 2, we never went out to eat, because it's hard to entertain a 2-year-old while they're waiting for it's, you bring Cheerios, you bring a book, that's what smart parents do. You actually engage with your child. I remember what very clear, and Justin, my now almost 13-year-old, didn't throw a lot of public tantrums, but I remember really clearly, we were in an Applebee's with our neighbor and her son, and he just starts screaming and wouldn't stop, throwing stuff. I'm like, I don't know what's possessed this child. I had ordered, but we hadn't gotten our food. So I called the waitress over, I paid for our food, and I hauled his ass out of there. Mm-hmm. I'm like, nope, we aren't staying here. If you can't behave, nope. One time I left an entire full grocery cart in the middle of the grocery store because my kid wanted something at the checkout and I wasn't giving it to him.
But what about your rights? It is your right. It is my right to be in this place with my screaming child and do nothing about it.
No, it's not. I'm sorry. It's just
it
absolutely
is my right.
Not. I don't believe that at all.
Equality. Crying children's lives matter. Die.
No. Sorry.
Okay, that might be a little bit too far.
It's a little
now, I forget who it was, but someone on Twitter brought up a good counterpoint, that if you just leave when the child starts crying, the child will think that if he doesn't want to be somewhere, he can just cry, get out of it. And I kind of see that perspective, but also if you're in a public place and your child is throwing a fit, and it's one thing if you're trying to calm the child down, and then if it doesn't work, then you leave. But if you just let them go off and pretend like nothing's happening, and the kid isn't encroaching on other people's, having a meal in public and disturbing them. That's rude and also stupid, and I hate you.
It's just,
that is all.
I worry about how many, and I see it at school all the time, and these kids that their parents give them whatever they want, they fix all their problems for them. That basically sets them up to not be able to deal with anything that doesn't go their way. They have no idea how to deal with it. Any adversity they face, no clue how to deal with that. And so, of course, they're going to freak out and throw a fit. They've not been taught how to handle these things. And so many parents, and I love my school, I love the families at my school, but there's so many times when we have an event at school or we're doing a book fair like at Barnes and Noble, and the parents come and they're socializing with their neighbors and friends, and the kids are running wild. Mm-hmm. I mean, no, I'm sorry. I will stop a child and chastise them and bring them to their parents and say, look, this isn't okay. If Johnny wants to run around and cause chaos while this event is going on, then you need to go.
But that's just Johnny being Johnny. I mean, what can I do? He's his own little person.
No, I'm sorry.
You're the parent.
That's complete BS. I mean, be a parent.
But do you know that this whole parents think that they're progressive or laissez-faire, as it were, or we don't spank our kids, and we don't whip them with tree branches. So we're obviously a progressive parent by not parenting, and they think they're modern, they're sophisticated. But no, you're just as bad of a parent by underparenting as people are overparenting.
Oh yeah. I mean, absolutely.
But no, we're a good person.
Parenting is tough. I mean, anybody who doesn't tell you that is a bad parent, because parenting is hard. You have to make a lot of decisions. And I mean, you're basically bringing this, you're growing a person. I mean, and you want this person to be, well-mannered and polite. And I just see so little of that nowadays. And when the kids come up and they're checking out books, or if I give them, whatever, and at school, and they'll come up and I'll check out their books and they'll walk away and I'll say, you're welcome. And then they'll go,
no, please and thank you.
And they'll go, thank you. I mean, so I make a point of that, because even if the parents aren't going to do it, I feel like they need to be reminded that that's a thing. Like, being polite and being respectful is a thing. And as a human being, it's their job to do that.
And the whole screaming in public, parents not doing anything about it. I feel like down the line, that's just teaching the kid that it's okay to be a nuisance to other people who are just trying to, enjoy their day, and be rude in public. And I think we're starting to see that, because I feel like there's a lot of adults who throw the equivalent of these little kid shit fits in public. Now, what bugs me the most is when couples argue in public, very loud and noticeably, or a person talks on the phone extremely loudly in a place where they shouldn't be, like in the middle of a dining room or restaurant. If you get a phone call, just take it outside or in the lobby, or it's basic common courtesy like that, which I think can be traced down to these little teaching moments as a child where they're allowed to go on a screaming jag, or they're not taught to say please and thank you, like you point out. And it's just bad. I mean, you just have a bunch of terrible, inconsiderate, rude douchebags now as adults, because parents weren't stepping in as when they were kids. And then how do you expect their kids to turn out if that's how they were raised?
Right. And this kind of reminds me of when, if I'm in the gas station. I mean, I always usually pay at the pump, but if I'm in the gas station or drive through or whatever, and I see people going up and ordering, or checking out at the store or whatever, and they're on their phone the entire time. They don't greet the person. To me, that's rude. That is so incredibly rude. And I just feel like we're raising generations of people that have no basic courtesy or, manners.
Yeah, that's really. Oh, all right. So I have a good example. I was at the gym the other day, and I was in the, the section where people do sit-ups, and they got like those big giant balls and medicine balls and stuff over there, right? All right. So I was like stretching and foam rolling and all that stuff, and then this kid comes over with some dumbbells, and the place is empty, so I'm like over in the corner. I'd say it's probably maybe like 20 feet wide, something like that. And then so this kid, like youngish blonde, like let's say like 22 maybe, comes up, stands right next to me while I'm like on my back on this foam roller, just chilling, trying to get not on my back because I'm old. And he's got his dumbbells there and just starts doing lunges like 8 inches away from me. And we have this whole 20-foot stretch of places where you can do lunges. And then I let go on for like 2 seconds. And then I take my earbuds out. I was like, hey man, what's going on? You give me a little space here. And then he pulls out his earbuds like, oh, this is where I do my lunges. I'm like, no. So eventually,
you were in his space apparently.
So I know there's no like, it is a completely nondescript corner of the area. So he finally moved after I gave him like the WTF face for like 3 seconds. And I was thinking back, this probably goes back to parenting, where the kid always gets his way, always is told that he's right, and never has had any consideration for others. Or when like teaching moments comes up, like when this kid was screaming in the diner, his parents never told him to be considerate of others, and it ripples. And like we've been saying, they just turn into terrible adults.
Just very self-absorbed, and that's very concerning.
Because I love my daughter to death. I'm going to love all my future kids to death. But the wife and I agree we're going to try our damnedest to make sure that the kid doesn't believe that the world revolves around them. Like there are other 6 billion people in this world. And yes, you are going to be smart and beautiful and independent, can take care of yourself. But other people matter too. Don't be a douche.
Exactly. If more people did that, we'd have a much better world.
So Muggsy, if you're hearing this like 16, 17 years from now on like your sonophone, or I don't know what's coming up next.
Who knows?
Don't be a douche. That's all. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Don't be a
all
douche.
Right. Don't be a
Hashtag
douche. Speaking of douche.
Don't be a douche.
Hashtag don't be a douche. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Putting that down. Speaking of don't be a douche, getting all up in our Twitter question of the week, and we had a little put out there. Very simple. What's the Vikings record going to be? And now we got a lot of 10-6s, 11-5s. Is that too optimistic, or what do you think?
It's hard to say. Their schedule has some pretty tough games. They play the Broncos, they play the Seahawks, the Packers twice. I don't know. I'm going to say, I'm going to go 11-5.
Oh,
yep.
I like it.
I'm going to go 11-5.
I'm going to go with the 10-6 because I feel like that's not too over purple Kool-Aid-ish and not too pessimistic. I noticed that we didn't have any losing records in a prediction, or even any 8-8s. I think the lowest was 1-9-7. But yeah, I'd be okay with the 10-6.
Well, I think we're all they have all the right pieces, and you cannot deny how fantastic this coaching staff is, and the guys buy in. They really, really buy in. So yeah, 11-5. I feel 11-5. Well, we'll see what happens. I might want to watch a game or two before I amend that, but I'm feeling 11-5.
Have you ever seen the NFL Network documentaries, America's Game?
Nope.
All right, so each year they do one for every Super Bowl champion, and especially the older ones, there's always an episode where it's like they talk about the building season before they became champions, like when the 49ers couldn't beat the Cowboys in the early 80s, when the Giants couldn't beat the 49ers, and then when the Cowboys can beat the Giants and blah, blah, blah. It goes on like that. And there's always, they talk about that year where they couldn't just get over the hump. And then the next year they did it. I feel like this could be that getting over the hump year, or that really close year where a young team gets a taste of legitimate success. And then next year, or 2018 in the U.S. Bank Stadium, they just get it done.
Well, they're going to be good for a while because they've got a really good young team. And like I said, a phenomenal coaching staff. So, yeah.
Well, until Teddy demands $30 million guaranteed or he's going to go play baseball.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't even talk a lick about Mankato, but that's coming up on Saturday. So that's exciting.
It is. And I'm feeling very sad because excited, but I'm sad because I'm not going this year. And it really was so much fun last year. Ted and I had a blast. So
are you not going because Ted's not going?
No, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
I really seriously. I wish he would come back and write for Daily Norseman again, but no. I was going to go. I had told Chris from the Daily Norseman that I was interested in going, and then just this medical stuff popped up, and I just have to deal with it.
No, you got to get off Quaaludes sometime, Di.
Thanks a lot.
If they don't even make them anymore.
I've never had one, so I have no idea. I wouldn't have any idea.
Let's see. Anything exciting for you coming up?
No,
Daily Norseman.
Just
by the way, do you know that the retired Ted Glover, the last publication he wrote for was Vikings Territory?
Oh, I read that.
Dun, dun, dun.
I read that. I'd miss his stock market report and his Rick Speak stuff because those are really, really funny. I don't think anybody is on our staff is as funny as he is. He's really good at bringing
headline of this episode: Di doesn't think that Eric and Kyle
right now
are funny.
They are funny.
Skull Girl are funny.
Just not as funny.
Or Chris.
Why do I do this with you again?
Hashtag don't be a douche.
That's your hashtag. Don't be a douche.
Let's see. Coming up, wife and I moving to the city's house. When
are you moving?
End of August
okay.
is when we're closing, all that good stuff. And it really stinks because it's right in the same weekend as the Vikings preseason game and 2 fantasy football drafts. So I'm going to be all over the place and moving boxes and stuff, but it's all good. Excited to get little Muggsy her first house and get in there and all that good stuff. And the wife just got a job up at U.S. Bank today. So technically she works for the Vikings.
Nice.
If you think about it. Badam.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. Let's see. Coming up for me, Purple for the win. Andrew Kramer, 1500 ESPN's coming on the show tomorrow. We're chatting. Should be a good time. And then Sunday morning, I'm actually going to be up in the hood, up in Dinkytown, up at 105 The Ticket. I'm going to sit in with an hour with those blokes on the wake-up call. Should be a good time.
Awesome. That'll be great.
Yeah. Andy's kind of a big deal.
Andy is a big deal, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But hashtag don't be a douche.
Don't be a douche.
Remember. Hashtag stay humble. Hashtag stay hungry. Hashtag rise and grind. Hashtag whatever Russell Wilson spits out from his PR machine.
Or the Wolves, hashtag grow together.
Hashtag born again virgin.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even want to talk about that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I just no.
All right, fine. Any parting thoughts?
No.
All right.
I got nothing.
Follow us on Twitter at @AnimusDie. Subscribe, rate, review, iTunes. We're getting there, baby. YouTube, Stitcher, all over the place. The website is animusdie.com. But we're gone this week. Next week, we'll have some Mankato talk. Hopefully, no injuries. Hashtag no injuries. Hashtag everything. I'm Andy Carlson, and she is
Di Murphy.
Thanks for listening. Have an awesome week. Don't be a douche. Muggsy. That is all. All right, good night.
The music was created and produced by Deeb. To hear more of his tracks, check out soundcloud.com/Deeb.
We needed to get this right.